Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Snook with section 1.5, Combinations of Functions. Today we're going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide functions, and we're going to find composition of one function within another function. So the first thing we're going to do is find the sum of two functions or adding. Notice the notation here. This is also function notation. This means f plus g of x. And then we're going to evaluate it at the sum where x equals 2. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my two functions together. So f plus g of x equals 2x plus 1. That's f, plus x squared plus 2x minus 1. That's g. Essentially, just combine like terms. So I have x squared. I have a 2x minus 2x, so those drop out. And I have a 1 minus a 1, those drop out. So my f of g of x just equals x squared. So f plus g of x equals x squared. Now I'm going to evaluate this where the sum equals 2. So f plus g of 2 equals 2 squared, which equals 4. We're done. My next one is f of x is 2x plus 1. G of x is x squared plus 2x minus 1. This time we're going to find f minus g of x. So in that case, we're going to subtract the two functions. So f minus g of x is going to be f of x minus g of x. That's what that means. So 2x plus 1 minus x squared plus 2x minus 1. Distribute the negative. So I get 2x plus 1 minus x squared minus 2x plus 1. Combine like terms. Negative x squared. I have a 2x and a minus 2x. Those drop out. I have a 1 plus 1, so that equals 2. Okay, now we're going to evaluate where x equals 2, so just plug in 2. So I get a negative 4 plus 2 equals negative 2. And we're done there. Now we're going to find the product. Product means multiply. And the notation looks like that. So multiply. So we're going to do f times g of x. That's f of x times g of x. And then just plug in your function. So I have x squared times x minus 3. Distribute. So distribute your x squared through. You get x cubed minus 3x squared. And now we're going to evaluate the product when x equals 4. So that means we're going to evaluate fg of 4. So plug in your 4. So 4 cubed minus 3 times 4 squared. And we get 4 cubed, I think, is 64. So if you need to, grab your calculator. And 4 cubed minus 3 times 4 squared. I hit a wrong button on my calculator. So 4 cubed minus 3. 4 cubed minus 3 times 4 squared. I got 16. So that's our answer there. Quotient of two functions. That means divide. So we're going to divide these. We're also going to find the domain. Now in this problem, the first part, doing the division, that's the easy part. Finding the domain can be a bit challenging. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you graphically using number lines. And then when we get to the end of that, we'll be able to just read off the number line what the domain is. So given f of x equals square root of x and g of x is 4 minus square root of x, we're going to do f over g of x. So that equals square root of x over square root of 4 minus x squared. That part's the simple part. Now let's get the domain. Remember the two rules for domain. We have no dividing by 0 and we have no even roots of negative numbers. Okay, so the first thing I do is I start off assuming that the domain is all real numbers. And then as I apply those rules, I start taking out those things that don't work. And then what we have left will be the domain. So first thing we need to do is I am noticing a square root in the denominator. So I have a 4 minus x squared. So in pictures, let's start off with assuming all real numbers. And I'm going to go ahead and shade in everything on this. This is starting off with all real numbers. Okay, that's the first thing. Now I'm going to say that I'm not allowed to square root a negative number in the denominator. So I have that square root of 4 minus x squared. So square root of 4 minus x squared. That cannot be square root of a negative number, so this comes out. And 4 minus x squared has to be greater than or equal to 0. And then solve the inequality. 4 is greater than or equal to x squared. And then you're putting in the square root, so you take plus or minus. So x has to be greater than or equal to plus or minus 2. So that's going to make, no, I did it backwards. X is less than or equal to plus or minus 2. When I flipped my inequality around, changed the symbol. So now here is my domain. Okay. So now my domain is just between -2 and +2. The next thing I know, I'm just going to stay with the denominator for now, is that I'm not allowed to divide by 0. So when I take the square root of 4x minus x squared, 0 is not allowed. So the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say that 4 minus x squared is not allowed to equal 0. So that means that x squared cannot equal 4. X cannot equal plus or minus 2. So now, looking at my domain, I have to take out those 2's. So I'm going to have an open circle at -2 and an open circle at +2, everything in between. So -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. All right, now let's look at the numerator. I've got a square root in there as well. And I'm not allowed to have a negative underneath a square root. So square root of x, I'm looking at that. Pull that out. X must be greater than or equal to 0. So go back to my number line, just so you can see this. I'm now going to have a closed circle at 0. I still have that open circle at 2. So -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. This is my domain. It's between 0 included and 2 not included. So my domain starts at 0, which is included, ends at 2 not included. Okay? If it helps you, draw these pictures. So go ahead, draw those number lines if that helps you, but you don't have to do that. It's not required. Now we're going to form a composition of x with g. So what this means is when we say f with this little circle in between of g, that means that f is going inside of g. I think that's what it is. Or did I say that backwards? Right, I said it backwards. So f with that little circle of g, what that means is that g is going inside of f. So this means f of g of x. So the g goes inside the f. So here we have f is square root of x, and g is is x minus 1. G goes inside the f. So that's going to be f of x minus 1. And what f does is it square roots, so then that equals square root of x minus 1. And then we're going to find, if possible, fog of 2. So f g of 2, that's going to be the square root of 2 minus 1 equals square root of 1 equals 1. And then let's find fog of 0. Square root of 0 minus 1 equals square root of -1, not allowed. So we can't always evaluate this. Let's do fog of x, and then goff. Goff's the other way around. Goff means you're plugging f into g. And we're going to evaluate at 1 and 0. So fog, that's going to be f of 4 minus x squared, because there's your g. So 4 minus x squared plus 2. I get a 6 minus x squared. So then fog of 1 is going to be 6 minus 1 squared equals 5. And then fog of 0 is going to be 6 minus 0 squared equals 6. Now we're going to go the other way. Same two functions, but we're going to put f inside of g. So that's going to be g of x plus 2. So 4 minus x plus 2 squared. FOIL this out, so you get 4 minus x squared plus 4x plus 4. I'm going to come down here. Distribute your negative. So I get 4 minus x squared minus 4x minus 4. My 4's drop out, so I get negative x squared minus 4x. So it's not the same as fog. I've put it in a different order, and I'm getting a different expression out. So these are not commutative. You can't always swap them around. Let's get the fog of 1. Sorry, goff. Is going to equal -1 squared minus 4 times 1. I get -1 minus 4. That's a -5. And we'll do the same thing. We'll get goff of 0. -0 squared minus 4 times 0. I get 0. So the domain of functions, so the domain of fog, you have to make sure that the domain of what you get out doesn't conflict with the domain of what's going in. So for f of x, your domain in this case is all real numbers, because you've got you don't have any dividing or any square rooting going on. And then for g of x, your domain is going to be this. 9 minus x squared has to be greater than or equal to 0. So 9 greater than or equal to x squared. Take the square root. You get plus or minus 3 is greater than or equal to x. And if we put that on a number line, just so you can see it, it's going to go between -3 and +3 included. So that means that we're going to have to restrict the domain of what comes out. Instead of all real numbers, it's just going to be, your domain is going to be -3 to 3. Okay? Now let's go ahead and plug in g into f of x and make sure that we don't have to eliminate anything else. So fog of x is going to be 9 minus x squared minus 9. I get 9 minus x squared minus 9. My 9's drop out. I have a -x squared. So there's nothing in there that's going to reduce our domain anymore. So here it is, -3 to 3. It is possible for fog to equal Goff, and that's what we have in this case. So fog is going to be 2 times 1/2 x minus 3 plus 3. I just plugged in g to f. Those cancel out, so I get x minus 3 plus 3, I get x. Now let's go the other way around. Let's plug f into g. So I'm going to have 1/2 of 2x plus 3. And so that's my x, and then I do a minus 3. I get 1/2 of 2x. Those cancel, and I get x. So same thing. So this is a case where you can reverse them and you get the same thing. It's just not always true. So I found this as a neat little graphic to help you remember fog and Goff. So if f of x is a tree and g of x is the house, fog is a tree house because the house is inside the tree. Goff is a tree inside a house, so it's a house plant. Here's another one. Fog is our dude, Goff is his red convertible. Sorry, f of x is the dude, g of x is the convertible. So fog is that car inside the dude. Goff is dude inside the car. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to identify a composite function. So now we're going the other way. We're going to start with the fog or the Goff, and we're going to figure out f and g. So look at h of x. We've got 1 over x minus 2 squared. And we're going to write this as a composite of two functions. The first thing I see is I see an x minus 2, which is being squared. And it's in the denominator. So I'm going to say, okay, my one function, g of x, is x minus 2. Now that's been put inside another function. And what that other function is doing is it's doing 1 over that. So then f of x is going to be 1 over x squared. All right, that's it for today's lesson. Thank you for watching and have a great day.